What's going on, guys? Today we have a quick video for you. We are going to check out a stock that I do not talk a lot about on my channel, but I'm trying to basically start to build out a position in. I've started selling puts below this stock actually a while back, and I've kind of sold them on and off as the market has tanked down. But most recently I sold a put for around like $30 to $40, and it's all the way down to, worth $11 now. So basically $20 to $30 in profit there already, but it'll probably expire worthless. It expires this Friday, and I'm honestly hoping that the stock falls below it. My strike price is $9.50, so I'm hoping the stock falls below it and I actually get exercised and have to purchase 100 shares of this stock here today, and that stock is Palantir. So what we're going to talk about in this video is we're going to go over some kind of recent information, what's going on with Palantir, what the business model looks like, what are their target audiences, what are they trying to grow, what's going on with all that. Then we're going to take a look at some of their balance sheet, the metrics kind of behind the company, and we'll finally leave off the video by going over some price targets for this company. So if you enjoy the video, make sure you drop a like down below, and if you want to see more videos like this one, make sure you hit that sub button. Before we get into all that, we are going to take a look at Palantir's chart. So what we have here is they were down over 2.5% today in the last 5 days. They're up 4.8%. So this is a stock that, just like every other stock, has been beaten down like crazy, and this one more so than a lot of the rest of the ones. If we look at the last 6 months, they're down over 40%. In the last year, they're down almost 60%. So they kind of topped off here and have a 52-week high of $29.29. So down significantly from where they were at their highs, but that's to be expected. This is a stock that needs a lot of investment, needs a lot of growth, and growth companies over the last year, basically year to probably 8 months, have just been absolutely destroyed by all the concerns, everything going on in the market, inflation, interest rates rising, just everything going on has beaten down stocks like Palantir, and Palantir has been no exception. So we're just going to walk through a quick article here. This was posted by the Motley, and it's why Palantir lost half its value in the first half of 2022. And this was actually posted today, and we're just going to touch on some of these points, and then I'm going to read the section and give my feedback and my opinion on what's stated in each section. So first thing we have here highlighted is Palantir is more than a year removed from its high-flying public debut, and investors are still rethinking how to view this data analytics company. So this is really important, right? It's a very recent public offering, which we'll actually see. We can jump down here. So September of 2020, the stock was actually basically IPO'd. And from there, it jumped up as much as 300% in its first 6 months. So that already kind of gives you a cue, right? That there was a lot of hype around this stock as it IPO'd. And what generally always happens, whether a stock goes down right after it IPOs or whether it goes up after it IPOs, it tends to resort to some sort of median, right? There's always seems to be an overreaction when a stock IPOs. And you can kind of see that with any stock, whether it's Uber stock, who's, finally starting to find some of its price, discovery, where it's around like a $30 to $50 stock and kind of trades in that range. Right now, Uber's even lower than that. And Palantir has still yet to establish where its true price is at for the value of the company. And that's kind of something to understand. And even right now, it still isn't really figuring out where its true price is at. Right now, there's a lot of terrible market conditions and other factors that are playing into this stock price, and that's important to really understand. So the high flying days of the 300% that it was up, which is around the $30 mark that we saw on that first on the chart there, that's probably not realistic for this stock at this point. But also a $9 stock probably isn't realistic either. Maybe the $15 to like $20 range is somewhere that's more, middle of the ground, where you're not overpaying, but you're also not, getting the stock at a cheap price. So if you didn't know, Palantir, they kind of tend to specialize in the defense and commercial data analytics sector. Basically, they're providing big data for a lot of companies. Right now, a lot of their biggest contracts are with the government. So they're providing military information, keeping track of military data, and then basically analyzing military data and helping the military make decisions based off that data. What they're really trying to push into, though, is the commercial space. And this will be huge for them in the long run if they can, get everything established and become the front player in commercial data. Because a lot of decisions right now in basically commercial big businesses are not always data-driven decisions. And with a lot more engineering types and people graduating with engineering STEM type degrees, data is becoming more and more important. And Palantir is basically on the forefront of that industry of basically helping companies organize and run their data to make decisions based off what they're seeing. So here we have highlighted basically that Palantir IPO'd at initially $10, and now it's actually trading below that. So right now we're trading at $9.80. It is a 52-week low of around $6.50. So it's up from its 52-week low, but still it's below its IPO price. But what's more important and what's more interesting for me is this second part here. So Palantir has posted steady growth during its time as a public company and continues to forecast annual revenue growth of 30% or greater through 2025. So that is huge. Those are massive numbers. When you start getting into 30% growth, it's hard to determine really where those numbers are actually going to come in at, right? Are they being conservative when they're saying 30% growth, or are they, blowing a lot of smoke and saying that, we're going to have huge growth and huge numbers and blah, 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 and projecting that out over, the next 3 years? That's also very ambitious. So they're kind of expecting a lot of growth in this market. And the question is, are they going to be able to execute? If they can execute on that 30% growth, the market, especially in times like these, tends to be very, very conservative. And the market is anticipating that basically Palantir is not going to be able to achieve that, right? They're going to be probably on the lower end with the way the economy is going. Things are not going to pan out as they expect. So really, if they can meet and exceed those goals, they are going to see that in their stock price as well. So here we have a couple of down reasons why basically Palantir has gone down. So there's basically investors are questioning how capable is the company of growing their commercial sector, so their big business data sector. Because right now, a lot of their newer commercial customers are actually companies that basically Palantir has invested in. So basically Palantir owning part of the company, obviously they're going to push that company to utilize basically Palantir as their data provider. So with that, that's not necessarily a bad thing in my opinion, right? You want to get market share and basically get people interested in your product, get people using it. And the more people that you get using it, right, the more it'll catch on, the more people who will understand how it is utilized. And basically that's a good way of kind of breaking into the market, right? Basically giving your product away for free to companies and like your friends would be kind of the example of it. And then as they use your product more and more people will become aware of it and just basically expanding from there. So personally, I don't really see that as a bad thing. And then the second thing up here is basically several other businesses have, posted that a lot of defense contractors or defense contracts are being very sluggish and not being executed very well. So they're taking a long time to get paid by the government or actually receive the contract basically back from the government. And this probably makes sense. There's a lot of things going on in the government right now. Things are slowing down. I mean, the IRS has been backed up for years with everything going on there. So it's kind of no surprise that this is going on, but it's bringing into question, right? If Palantir has a lot of government contracts, are they receiving their payments on their contracts? Are these contracts continuing to be honored? Like, what's going on with that? Are they going to receive more contracts in the future? Things like that. So these are all kind of question marks that are out there that definitely haven't helped the stock. But in my opinion, a lot of these are, very short-term things. And it's a lot of, things that can get easily resolved in the future. Breaking into the market, getting people, interested in your product, and then also, government contracts. They're going to come and go as the economy kind of changes. Military contracts, the military budget is always massive, and there's always going to be military contracts, which is huge and definitely a benefit for Palantir. So on their balance sheet, I didn't really want to go too in depth. There's not a ton of metrics that are really posing, for Palantir. A lot of them are, price to sales, things like that, which there's nothing crazy. It doesn't really, they're sitting in between where you'd kind of expect them to be compared to defense contractors, compared to like big data. So like Snowflake versus, Boeing or something. Their price to sales kind of falls right in between, which you'd expect, from a company that plays both sides of the field. What's more interesting to me is their cash and cash equivalents. So they have $2.5 billion in cash and cash equivalents, and their liabilities are very low. So right now they have less than $1 billion, almost $500 million in current liabilities. Basically what that's telling me is if there is a recession and if things go poorly, Palantir is still in a great spot. They have a ton of cash. They don't have a whole lot of debt and short-term, liabilities, so they can cover anything that were to come up that would be detrimental to the business. They can basically cover that with their cash and then go about their merry way and keep focusing on growing the business. Last thing we have up here is looking at analyst price targets. So right now, Palantir, it doesn't even show the analysts. Palantir is such a new stock, it doesn't show the analysts like we typically see, where it says, such and such number of analysts are saying buy, so-and-so are saying sell, and whatnot. But they do have price targets here on Wall Street Journal. So they have a high price target of 16, a median of 11, and a low of 6, with an average of 10.87. So this is kind of interesting to me. These numbers seem kind of low, in my opinion. I mean, a high price target, normally there's someone who's super hype about this stock and they'll just put out a price target of like $40 or something, on a stock that's very hype like Palantir and has a lot of, people who just like get super energized about the potential of a company like this. So I'm kind of surprised that 16 is only the high. Like, in my opinion, this stock, if the economy turned around and in the back half of the year, or even going into 2023, I could easily see this stock or a stock like this, jumping up to $20 to $25. I don't think it's unreasonable, especially because we've seen that price in the past. Back in November and December, just 7 months ago, 8 months ago, we were at $26, $27, $28, around those price targets. So I'm kind of surprised that it's that low, but also at the same front, I understand there's a lot of fears in the market right now. So 16, if it gets back up to there, you're still almost looking at a double up from its current price, over 50% increase. So overall, I'm interested in Palantir. Like I said, I'm going to keep selling puts below it. And if they keep rising, and I don't get exercised, so be it. I'll make a little bit of cash. But hopefully I get, exercised at one point and I can own some Palantir and then kind of ride it into the future, because I think over the next couple of years, they'll start executing a lot of their business. They'll start getting into more of these big data or big commercial kind of enterprises like Walmart's, Target's, Amazon's, things like that. And overall, I think that's going to basically make the business boom. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure you drop a like down below. And if you want to see more videos like this one, make sure you hit that sub button. And as always, have a wonderful rest of your day.